Well, I've been thinking a lot about psilocybin mushrooms lately. And I've been messing around with all this AI art business, you know, and I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure, you know, good little helping of psilocybin mushrooms will beat all of this stuff. Although it is pretty colorful, it is pretty neat, and probably inspired by, you know, people tripping out. I mean, well, I've been thinking about this AI stuff a lot, and I've been cruising around. I have looked at several of these AI art, um, the art, making these pretty pictures. I've looked at a lot of those. I've come to the conclusion that there's a few of these that are really pretty good. There's some not so hotras, and but the one I'm sticking with is Night Cafe because number one, it's reasonable. They give you 5 free images a night if you want it that you can download. I mean, everybody else, there's all kinds of little tricks being played with the downloads and how much you got to pay, and and I understand everybody's got to make some money in this world. Money is the blood of capitalism. You got that right. So, um, but I've decided I'm going to go ahead and really get into looking at the AI music scene. Before I do that, I want to just talk about a few things that, and I'm not going to do that in this video. This video is just going to be really about um, the few things that I have found out and discussed with people that I think are negative and could be abused or could be abusive of AI. Not necessarily in the art part of it, like the pretty picture part of it, although, I did find some of this stuff that's pretty risque. I mean, not on the mainstream ones, but in the dark web. I mean, there are some that will let you, what do they call them? Not for work or whatever whatever little silly, childish thing is that they call it. We're such prudes in this country. It's ridiculous. Not that I give a shit about any of that anymore. I certainly don't, really. Not at all. So, but the abuses. Well, the very first abuse that I came up with was I don't know if it's an abuse actually, because when you, and this is pertaining to the legal profession, which I'm pretty lucky there because I'm surrounded by lawyers. I mean, my father was a lawyer. I mean, he was in the Air Force all of his life, but he was a lawyer. But my wife was a what do they not a legal secretary, paralegal. So I heard this lawyer I believe it was on TikTok, and he's got a weird name like Wolf or something like that. But he's a Bay Area dude. Bay Area, I mean San Francisco Bay Area. That's the only Bay Area that I'm familiar with. I'm sure there's other Bay Areas. But he just made a comment on there. Well, this um, chat CPT, I believe is the name of it, just passed all these bar exams in these states. And he just went, like, what does that mean? And so I went and asked my wife, paralegal. She goes, well, they've kind of had like that, not very well. There's in the last few years, there's been apps, that you can, so that you can get out like all the statutes and all that kind of stuff fairly quickly, kind of like using a search engine, which really that's an AI thing. If you think about it, it's just maybe a little, maybe a Model T AI compared to what's going to happen. But she said, I don't see how that's anything about it is going to be detrimental to the law profession. As a matter of fact, it's probably helping court cases, getting information quickly. It'll also help in, think of all the inmates, that are trying to figure out a legal argument to get their ass out of prison. Boys are going to help them if they can get a phone. I mean, they have legal libraries, but this is like having a legal library on a computer or, in your hand as a phone. So, good thing? I think so. I don't know. I guess it's something to ponder. I'm sure they will be. Lawyers are discussing it now as we speak in some bar somewhere. All right. The other thing that I found that could possibly be negative. Hold on one second. Students cheating. Now, my daughter, who's a teacher, she's actually the head of a musical department, but she teaches and puts on, does all that stuff. And so she said, yeah, the students are, cranking it out for homework and whatever. And we had a little conversation about that because, we were both students. I was probably worse than she was because, I started thinking back of all the ways that there was to cheat. I mean, people would write stuff on the bottom of their shoes, so you'd write it in your hands, You just go to your homework, you just copy something out of the Encyclopedia Britannica, or, I guess nowadays it's just like you can Google your homework, really. It's so simple to gather information. But now with AI, it will literally write it for you. So that's the catch. But it's just a higher level of cheating that has always happened and is always going to continue to happen. All right, the one thing that I listened to about AI that kind of could probably make me a little bit upset, or a little bit, let's not say upset, but certainly worried enough to give it some thought. And that's the fact that, this face recognition stuff. And I got this idea from listening to Bo of the Fifth Column, who's a pretty political guy. I think he lives around me somewhere. I don't exactly know where, but somewhere here in the Panhandle or Lower Alabama or something. Very intelligent man. Lives out in the country or lives in a small town. But has been in the services. I don't know exactly what. I think might have been some sort of special forces or something. I'm not sure. But he certainly seems to be well informed about military issues and geopolitical kind of stuff. I don't know if that comes from experience or his interest. I don't know him that well. I probably listened to him, 10 times. That's if the subject that he was talking about, was something I was interested in. So he brought up by the way, I'd suggest if anybody cares about our country, they should listen to Bo, the Fifth Element, from time to time. So his whole thing was, say voice recognition or face recognition, and they can fake all that stuff now. What if, somebody did a fake of, let's say, Donald Trump going, I've just killed somebody on Fifth Avenue, or, the Russians are going to attack, or I really did, whatever. I mean, somebody could fake something that Donald Trump says and probably cause a whole lot of commotion. Let's all gather this weekend. Bring your weapons. We're going to attack, Monticello, Florida. I don't know. I'm just saying. The opposite. Somebody could fake Joe Biden, the president. Come out and have some kind of fake thing that Joe Biden says the Chinese balloon was, a terrifying blah, 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 So, and propaganda, you could get a fake Putin, or the Russians could generate a fake Zelensky, saying that, we give up, Russia's won, they're taking over, there would be thousands of Ukrainians and Russians that would believe that probably. So that's a concern. I also, because he said that, started looking around. Now there is some research going on in AI that actually is addressing that. And they're going to be, just like you have, software detection programs, the malware and all that kind of stuff, that are, going to look for malfeasance in your software. Well, there's people already working on AI that will detect AI, that you'll be able to install in your computer. They might even attach it to, directly into YouTube or whatever, into your search engine, so that you can just be alerted. Make sure that you understand that this is AI. This is generated by somebody. This is not an actual human being. So it's going to be a crazy world. And this is all going to happen really very soon. It's going to happen in my lifetime. And, you know, I'm definitely on the back nine of my life. And I'm actually, I got a few more holes to play. So, mainly you young people are going to have to deal with all this crap. I got faith in you. You invented it. You can find a cure for it. Not that it's going to need a cure. I think it's going to do way more good and way more productive and be way more productive in business and industry. You know, like the most exciting thing that I read about, I got hooked reading about it, was the fact that you're going to be able to generate your own script. In other words, you're going to be able to program through AI like your own software. Where I could see eventually you could through a program. I mean, you would have to learn to program, but you wouldn't necessarily have to learn, all the scripting. You wouldn't necessarily have to learn Bash or Unix or one of those languages that you have to type in all the stuff in the terminal that makes stuff happen. You can just, tell it, give it a few commands. I need a add-on for Ardor that's going to organize my synthesizer files, blah blah blah. Or, I can see in music where you can say, like, okay, I would like that synthesizer part that was in this song or that song, and make it really close, but don't steal it. It doesn't matter anyway. The copyright laws and all that are just crazy things. As far as I'm concerned, copyright laws should only be in effect for about 7 years. Then everything should just be open source after that. They screw the no political stuff really. But even in the medical thing, I've had some really major problems, especially with my heart, and I've had a couple of things that have happened, and I'm doing good because I got rid of everything. Pretty healthy now. So, but I think AI can help somebody. You could invent a feeding the right criteria in. You could figure out, maybe a dietary system for a short term that would get you out of a funk or whatever. They'll be able to engineer weed better, and there are just so many things that are going to be really good for farming. Let's have what are the techniques for let's say collecting water or conserving water. I just don't know. I just think that it's going to be a major help. Yep, going to get abused, no doubt about it. And people will have to invent anti-abusing software for the abusers. Just like it's always been. Just like we've always had to do that. When a newspaper prints a bunch of false crap, like the Observer or something like that. Well, where do you go to get a remedy for that? You go to a different news source. Nowadays, I don't know what to tell you. I think there's a bit of truth. I don't necessarily think that the big news companies are, conglomerates are lying very. There's some on the right that are lying, but they are certainly leaving a lot of stuff out. I mean, I am sick of watching, the big news stations, and they don't tell you anything really that's going on in the world. If you want to know what the geopolitical status is of that day, you really need to go to, I go to Mastodon, which I have a feed there that gives me all the European news stories of the Ukrainian war. Now, I don't know if this is an AI thing. Could be. But, so what I'm going to do, I'm really interested in AI. I'm not going to get into all these heavy duty things with it though. I'm a musician. I've always been a musician since I was 12 years old. I'm now 74. I don't know how many years that is. But I have already been searching around for some AI music creators. I don't want music creation that's going to do a whole song. I want rhythm section. I want somebody to back me up. So I found a couple. And in my future videos on AI, I'm going to be focusing on the music part of it. It's not anywhere near as creative as I don't want. I'm not going to talk about it. That's it. This is the end. I just wanted to mention those few things that I had found out that are kind of AI negative, and things that people need to be aware of and watch for. Because I'm sure there'll be a lot of this stuff coming into the social media world. So if you can arm yourself against AI in a software situation, which I'm sure is going to be coming up in the future, I almost think is going to be as important as finding software viruses and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I think that's enough of this. I'm probably I went on and on and on like usual. And I'm hoping I'm getting better at this and my stuff is getting more interesting. I know that nobody really wants to hear my negative political stuff. I'm still going to do that because it's important to me to get it out of me. And if there is even one person that's interested, I think that's important. But this other stuff's going to just be fun. I'm getting to the verge now pretty soon of I want to be cranking up guitars and basses and synthesizers, and I'm going to be rocking out. I'm going to be playing music on my site here, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to bop till I drop. All right. Well, I'll see you all in the AI funny papers. Yes, I will.